welcome all of you. We are starting with our next part of chapter 4, Human Centric Marketing for Brand Attraction. Now, before I start with the next topic, first let's do a quick revision of what we did in our last session. Okay, we covered various points. Understanding humans using digital anthropology. I'll just start sharing the screen with you. We studied about understanding humans using digital anthropology. In that, what we studied, the process starts by unlocking the client's deepest anxieties and desires. It requires definite listening and immersive research into what is known as digital anthropology, right? So once the human side of the customers has been uncovered, it is time for the products to uncover their human sides. So Trademarks needs to demonstrate human attributes that can attract clienteles and build human-to-human connections. Then we studied about 4 qualitative anthropological methods, right? And what are they? Different methods. Participative is there. Participative observation is there. In-depth interviews, focus groups, and textual analysis. So when I talk about participative observation, I conveyed you about digital anthropology that discovers how humans interact with digital interfaces, how several recognized methods that are currently being used by marketers include social listening, ethnography, and empathetic research, right? What does that empathetic research means? It involves human perspective and empathy in the research process, and ethnography is a form of human-to-human connection in the marketing research process. So we studied on that part. Then we went on data collection methods. Data collection methods. Social listening is the positive process of monitoring what is being said about a brand on the internet, particularly on the social media and online communities. Ethnography, the key variance between ethnography and social listening is that ethnography often requires the ethnographers to become deeply engaged as active participants in online communities. And the ethnographers join these people, immerse themselves in the group associations and engage in the conversations and develop compassion towards peer members. So thus ethnography itself is a form of human-to-human connection in the market research process. Then I talked about empathetic research, involves the human perspective and empathy in the research process. What it includes, ensure wide-ranging and rich human perspective. The research process typically involves multidisciplinary team members such as psychologists, anthropologists, product designers, engineers, marketers, and these teams, they come together, they do the observations about the customers' satisfactions, about their behaviors, about their frustrations and surprises. So then these behavior experiences are analyzed and they come up with a conclusion, and that can give a wonderful new innovation. It can give a new invention development, a new clientele experience, or a new trademark campaign that often makes clientele delightfully surprised, right? Then we studied about different attributes also, right? Building 6 attributes of human-centric brands, and which were they? Physicality, intellectuality, sociability, emotionality, personality, and morality, right? What do you mean by physicality? I gave you, if you have a very good model, beautiful model, you feel like watching the ad. I gave you the example of Amul butter, right? And Amul butter is well known to excel not only in the dairy products design, but also in its user interface design. Then intellectuality, the brands with innovativeness have the ability to launch the products and services with creative ideas. The brand does demonstrate their ability to effectively solve customers' problem. I gave you the example of Amazon, Ola, AirAsia. Then we come to sociability. In sociability, what was it? I gave you the example of Ramdev Baba, right? He's doing well in healthcare and at the same time in cosmetic domain also. So it is a good example of sociability. Emotionality, brands that evoke emotions and can drive, positive customer actions. They connect with customers on an emotional level with touchy messages. And I gave you two examples. Emotional was of the ad Samson, when the what you can say, when the mother and the daughter are stuck on the road at night, and how, what was it about the deaf blind girl struggles to communicate with their parents, and how with the help of that Morse code lipi, the frequency she could communicate with her mother, and this marketing campaign had emotionally ripped across the customer base. So brand like Samsung has created a connect with customers on an emotional level with a touchy message. This was on emotionally. And about the other message, which was a very happy message, was of which I gave you, was of MACD, right? You can connect that joy feeling with McDonald's. Next I gave you was of personability. People with strong personability have self-awareness. They are conscious of what they are good at, and they also admit that they still want to learn, they still want to improve, they still want to be the benchmarkers more and more and more. So they show self-confidence, they show leadership traits. Similarly, products with strong personality knows exactly what they stand for, and also they are not afraid to admit their flaws. I gave you the example of Jyotindra Havre, who has, who started his meditation channel on YouTube for social connectivity. And I gave you the example of Domino's Pizza also, right? Which the pizza in 2010 admitted that the pizzas were not compelling. So in an advertisement, Domino's had widely published that and taken the feedback from the customers. So you should be, strong enough even if you want to tell your flaws to the customers, and should be ready to accept it and to improve it. So that gives more authenticity to that brand. That is very, very necessary. And when I talk about the morality, similar morality is about being principled and having honesty. Similarly, products with strong morality are value-driven. The trademarks ensure the appropriate ethical consideration become a key part of all business decisions. So to put this another way, ethical marketing isn't a strategy, it is a philosophy, right? So I gave you the example of your Horlicks, and there that car was punctured, and how that girl, changed the tire. Again, I will mention that those brands which try to give a social value through their advertisements are the ones which deserve to be called examples of ethical advertisements in India. Followed about all these things. Now, when brand becomes human, we are going to start with that, right? Or have we completed that? Brand becomes human. I think we have completed that. Brand becomes human. What we discussed in brand becomes human. The evolution of marketing, which has gone from focusing on the products, marketing 1.0, you studied, to the consumers, marketing 2.0, which evolved, right? And then came marketing 3.0, emotions. And now with marketing 4.0, it is need to be more human, more transparent, more coherent in order to relate to their clienteles as equals. So greater commitment and offer innovative products and services more adapted to the real needs of each one. So it is important to have authenticity, as it constitutes the most valuable asset of a company. And an omni-channel with unification in its objectives and strategies is what we discuss. Big data, then big data and data science are the new competitive intelligence tools which are coming up, and more powerful than the traditional focus groups in order to discover and anticipate the latest needs in the market. The ultimate goal of marketing 4.0 goes from capturing the attention of consumers to becoming the fans of the brand is what we studied. So in short, marketing 4.0 must focus on the human beings, must build authentic brands that behave as people, that are attractive and accessible, closer with their strengths and weaknesses, that consumers can forgive them as long as they are sincere. That's what we studied. Then content marketing for brand curiosity. In content marketing for brand curiosity, we studied what different content marketing is also considered to be another form of product journalism and trademark publishing that creates deeper connection between products and clientele. So in that we studied about personalization. So there are a growing number of customers who expect to have personalized customer experiences that reflect their personal needs, attitudes, and situations. So marketers are capable of creating personalized contents that are relevant to each customers. Right? Then we studied about emotions. We studied emotions. An article or a video posted by any company is considered successful if the number of clicks are always high. So it is observed that two factors determine the success of an article: about how positive the message is, and second is about the emotion behind the message. And the third one, diversification of approach. The same marketer constantly, repeatedly posts the same thing. It is too difficult, the customers may get disinterested and eventually disengage themselves from the brand. So firms are advised to hire creative journalists or editors who can keep on creating new stories, deliver contents in a refreshing manner, right? And then we studied about co-creation and trust. Studied about co-creation and trust. So collaboration and co-creation is the logic of brand and branding, as it creates trust in consumers and retain them. And ethical honesty, in that sometimes the paid and owned media are not enough to attract customers, and audiences may be unresponsive to a hard sell. So pull marketing is many times effective. And it is important that content marketers should not trick people to get their attention. And then we studied about hashtags. Studied about hashtag. Content marketing has been a catchphrase in the recent years, and it is being predicted as a future of the advertising in the digital economy. We studied about the hashtag. The customers are changing their loyalty continuously. So it is very important for the marketers to retain their customers, and the key role of the marketers is to convey the value schemes offered by their brands. And I gave you the example of Hipmunk here, na? I gave you the example of Hipmunk also. So now we will come to the next one, that is step-by-step content marketing. Now, when I talk about step-by-step content marketing, we have all talked about content marketing. We will see different steps now involved in the development of content marketing. So before embarking on a content marketing journey, marketers should define their goals clearly. Marketers should define their goals very clearly. I hope you can see my slide very clearly. So there are 8 steps in it. Without proper objectives in place, marketers might become lost when they dive deep into content creation and distribution. Their goals should be associated with their overall business objectives and translated into metrics against which the content marketing will be evaluated. Content marketing goals can be classified into two major categories. And which are these two major categories? The first category is sales related goals, and this includes lead generation, sales closing, cross sell, and sales referral. The second category is trademark related goals. This includes trademark awareness, brand association, brand loyalty, brand advocacy, and most content marketers have more than one objective in both categories. I will repeat the whole thing. With every marketer should define their goals very clearly. Without proper objectives in place, marketers might become lost when they go deep into content creation, and so their goals should be associated with their overall business objectives and translated into key metrics against which the content marketing will be evaluated. So content marketing goals can be classified into two major categories. The first category is sales related goals. The first category is sales related goals, and this includes lead generation, sales closing, cross sell, and sales referral. The second category is trademark related goals. This includes trademark awareness, brand association, brand loyalty, brand advocacy. So most content marketers have more than one objective, in both categories. So the Content Marketing Institute reveals that the most effective business to customer content marketers in North America place reputation on trademark awareness. So loyalty and engagement as key objectives. They consider this loyalty as their key objective, and engagement of the customer is extremely important. On the other hand, business to business content marketers put more emphasis on lead generation and sales. Followed, business to customer content marketers, what do? They play more role, or they're more concentration on trademark awareness, which is loyalty and engagement. And on the other hand, business to business content marketers put more emphasis on lead generation and sales as key objectives. So defining their goals help marketers to better design a content marketing strategy. If the objective falls into the sales related category, marketers needs to make sure that the content distribution channels are well aligned with the sales network. Or if the objective falls into the sales related category, marketers need to make sure that the content distribution channels are well aligned with the sales network. For example, Birchbox online beauty product subscription service offers tips for maintaining healthier hair in a video. Your hair can become very healthy. Since one of the goal is sales, a shop this story pane is placed next to the window pane. What is it? One of the goal is sales. And what it write? Shop this story. And there is a small pane, shop this story pane is placed next to the pane, video pane, allowing the members to click and buy products featured in the content directly if they desire. Followed, on the other hand, if the objectives are more concentrated on the trademark, then marketers needs to make sure that the content is always consistent with the brand's character, as it focuses on brand metrics. An example is, I can give here is toothpaste, Colgate. The oral care center content helps build brands association with the oral expert. It helps connect dentists to prospective patients, which helps to build a strong trademark image in both audience groups. Followed, that is goal setting. Very, very basic important step is goal setting. So you should have very clear goals. Your objectives should fall in proper place, and marketers should know very well about it. Second one, which I come to, is audience mapping. Which is the second one? Is now when I talk about audience mapping, one Once the purpose is clearly defined, marketers should determine the audiences they want to focus on. Your goal is clear, the purpose is clear. What next? Audience. The audience is important. So marketers cannot simply define audiences in a broad term such as our customers or youth general or decision makers. So defining a precise audience subset will help marketers create sharper and deeper content, which in turn contributes to trademarks, effective storytelling. You cannot categorize them into general, it's youth generally, our customers saying, or our decision makers. You have to be very precise in defining the subset of audience, so that gives creates a sharper, that gives a deeper content, which in turn contributes to the trademarks, effective storytelling. The audience most prominent parameter is often behavioral. What it is? Behavioral. Subcultures such as, subcultures, I mean to say, homeschooling or gymnasium members or bird watching group, that have the inclination to gather in communities and distribute relevant content amongst themselves, are fascinated by novel, then non-mainstream themes that bind them together, and are influencers who will help strengthen the content. That happens, no, when a full group of gym joins in. Oh, this is the best, what you can say, the booster which has come, or bird watching. This is a wonderful bird, which is, you should watch it next time. So that is the content which, you pass it, and are influencers who will help strengthen the content. So after marketers have set their audiences restrictions, they need to profile the audiences and describe personas, which help them imagine what audience actually looks like in real life. Real life, how the audience is. It is necessary to describe their personas. So through proper research, they also need to determine the anxieties and desires or pain points and aspirations which will define their need for specific content. Marketers should then aim to provide contents that help them to relieve their queries and achieve their desires. Example, I can give you Airbnb, for instance, emphasize on travelers who want to experience their destinations as locals, who actually live there and not as tourists. I want to go as a local, I want to go to all the places where locals go. Thus, Airbnb publishes the local list for major destinations that describe what locals will do and the favorite places they go in specific cities. So this example clearly defines audience segments, supports. So Airbnb develop content that is relevant and compelling. That is what happens in audience mapping. Now we will go to the next step. First was goal setting. Second was audience mapping. Third is content ideation and planning. Content ideation and planning. The next step is to find concepts about what content to create and to perform proper planning. So a combination of appropriate themes, suitable formats, and solid narratives ensures a successful content marketing campaign. What it gives? A combination of appropriate themes, suitable formats, and solid narratives. Then it can make your marketing campaign successful. So in finding the right theme, marketers should consider two important things. Marketers should consider two things. Great content has clear relevance to customer lives. Great content has clear relevance to the customer's lives. With all the information clutter, contests, must mean something to the audience to avoid being terminated. So it must be able to give solutions to their anxieties. That is the first thing. Second, Effective content has strong stories that reflect the product's character and codes. Content can be means for products to make a transformation and leave the legacy, the ultimate goal of marketing 3.0. So this requires to think deeply about their product's mission, what they stand for beyond the value propositions. General Electric, for example, taps into the benefits of technology enthusiasts and futurists with its online magazine. Technologist, at the same time, it creates futuristic technology stories around the GE brand. So marketers should also discover the content formats. It is necessary. Contents can be presented in the written formats, press release, newsletters, white papers, case studies, and sometimes even in books. So in visuals like comics or presentation slides, graphics, videos, games, and also even in feature films also. So it is very important. So marketers should discover keep on discovering the new formats. So content marketing narrative is also very, very important. The overall storyline should be strong. The overall storyline needs to be circulated across the entire customer path. So the key is often building the right format mix and sequence, right? In the content ideation and planning. In the content ideation and planning. That's what we studied. So combination of appropriate themes, suitable formats, and solid narratives ensure a successful marketing campaign. That's what we studied on content ideation and planning, which is the third step. Now coming to the fourth step. Fourth step is content creation. This was about the planning and ideation. Now, how am I going to create it? All the happening which we have discussed lead to the most important step, which is the content creation itself. Which is the content creation itself. Content creation, believe me, requires an enormous commitment in terms of time and budget. It's not that easy. If budget is not original, if the content is not original or of rich quality, the content marketing campaign becomes a waste of time and sometimes backfires. So it demands marketers to act like publishers with strong writers and editors on board. That is what is necessary in content creation. So the content has to be original. It has to be of rich quality. Otherwise, it backfires. It demands marketers to act like publishers with strong writers and editors. Content formation has no start and end date, sir. Believe me. I'm going to start there and I'm going to end there. No. It is a continuous process that requires consistency. Therefore, marketers needs to be sure that they have in-house capability to deliver content over the long term. If they are not so capable, they should consider acquiring the professional content producers, journalists, script writers, animators, etc. for it. You cannot have, the typical ideas floating. Nobody is going to watch it. So it is very necessary that you should hire some smart person and that the person has to be in-house. So an example of this is Heineken's Ideas Brewery. An important fact to mention is that Heineken has optimized the Facebook page with geo-targeting. This means they serve content specific to their public locations. The regional fan pages are aggregated through so the general like count sums up to a very impressive result. So they use Facebook Live options, for example, to broadcast a live question and answer session with brewing experts to vitalize the brand's image with a pinch of storytelling and capitalize on the brand's heritage. They frequently even engage users with attention-grabbing contests and quizzes. So this resonates well with the brand's sporty image and spectacular football game emotions that the brand is all about, right? So the tone of voice is very important here. The tone of Heineken beer is very important. The tone of voice is very approachable friendly, and chatty. Their content is short, their content is dynamic, and to the point, often served with the dedicated hashtags like soccer's here. So that is what is about content creation. When I talk about content creation, it is very important to have the right content. The content is a very enormous commitment, and it requires a good budget and time. And if the content is not original, it is not of great quality, it becomes a waste of time. So we studied about content creation. Next is content distribution. Now, when I talk about content distribution, high quality content is unworkable unless it reaches its intended audience. In a sea of contents, it is easy for a particular content to get lost in transmission. So marketers needs to ensure that their content can be exposed by the audience's proper content distribution. It is important because you have so much of data. A sea of contents is there, and if the chances are there that can get lost. So the marketers have to be very careful. Content marketing can be performed through digital and non-digital networks. It is often observed that digital natives use non-digital content marketing so many times. Moreover, business to business and business to customer marketers in this North America agree that in-person events provide the most effective content marketing approach. In-person events allow the more meaningful human-to-human interactions that digital content marketing lacks. So many times human-to-human touch, and you can sell the product very well. It can happen. So there are three major media networks that content marketers can use, and which are they? Own, paid, and earned media. Which are they? Own, paid, and earned media in content distribution. So products maintained media consist of the channel assets that the product owns and which is fully under its control. A trademark can distribute content to its own media channels anytime it wants. That is own. So own media includes corporate publications, corporate communities, emails, newsletters, social media accounts, mobile phone notifications, then mobile applications that belongs to the trademark. So these are highly targeted media whose reach is typically limited to the trademark's existing customers. So even though own media are free, building and handling them, it is not that easy. It is important to be handled by significant internal sources only. So trademarks, own media we studied. Next is trademarks, paid media. Paid media, on the other hand, are the channels that the trademarks pay to distribute its content. They include traditional advertising media such as electronic media, print media, and out of home media, along with digital media. In the digital space, the most common paid media channels include display banners, affiliate networks of publishers, search engine listings, paid social media assignments, and many more, and mobile advertising media. So typical trademark pays based on the number of impressions, the number of times the content is shown, or based on the number of actions, that is the number of times the audience actually follows through with actions such as clicks, registrations, or purchase. Right? So paid media are classically used to reach and acquire new prospective audiences in an effort to build trademark awareness and drive traffic to owned media channels. So trademarks earned media include the coverage and exposure gained by the trademark due to the word of mouth, or you can say advocacy, brand advocacy. When the excellence of the content is very high, the audience often feels compelled to make them viral through social media and communities. Hence, the organic word of mouth is very important here. So earned media, when I talk about the earned media, exposure can also be a result of strong public and media relations effort, creating what is known as amplified word of mouth. Amplified word of mouth. Earned media classically do not stand alone. They require owned and paid media also to generate the free coverage. This is what about content media distribution, which I talked about. Then we come to content amplification. What do you mean by content amplification? The significance of a strong earned media distribution is a content amplification strategy. Not all audiences are created equal. Follow? The significance of a strong earned media distribution is a content amplification strategy. Not all audiences are created equal. When the content reaches the key influencers in the intended audience group, that content is more likely to go viral. The first step marketers should do is to identify these influencers. Marketers need to make sure that the influencers find it useful for improving their reputations when they spread the content. The first step marketers should do is to identify these influencers. They are appreciated figures. Who are these influencers? They are the appreciated figures in their communities who have sizable group of engaged followers and viewers. They are often content creators themselves who have built their reputation over time with great viral content. So they are considered experts in their communities. Follow? So for these influencers to endorse and spread trademark content, the key is to build and nurture a win-win situation with their influencers. So marketers need to make sure that the influencers find it useful for improving their reputations when they spread the content. Right? It is so very, very important. I will go again and tell you this, very important, amplification. Once, the significance to a strong earned media distribution is a content amplification strategy. Not all audiences are created equal. When the content reaches the influencers in the intended audience group, the content is more likely to go viral. Follow? The first step marketers should do is to identify these influencers. Who are the influencers? And who are these influencers? The influencers are the big people, reputed people, figures in their communities. They have name, fame, who have sizable group of people engaged and following them and viewing them. So they are often creators themselves who have built their reputation over time with their viral content, and they are considered experts in their communities. So for these influencers to endorse and spread trademark content, the key is to build and nurture a win-win association with their influencers. So marketers needs to make sure that the influencers find it useful for improving their reputations when they spread the content. Once the content has been amplified, marketers needs to follow through by engaging in conversations, increasing the magnitude of conversations and media coverage. Follow? Once the concept is amplified, spread, marketers needs to follow. How? By engaging in conversations, increasing thereby the magnitude of conversations and also the media coverage. Follow? So this is about content amplification. Next, come to content marketing evaluation. Content marketing evaluation. Assessment of content marketing success is an important post-distribution step. It involves both the strategic and the tactical performance measurements. Okay, so it is very important that the assessment of content marketing success post-distribution is an important step. It involves both strategic and tactical performance measurements. So strategically, marketers should evaluate whether the content marketing policy achieves the sales related and the trademark related goals. It is extremely necessary. It is important to evaluate that. Follow in content marketing evaluation. You have to explain everything in detail. I just don't show this diagram. This is just an overview of the whole thing I have given you in the diagram. Whatever I'm telling you, you have to write that, explain it. The video is with you all, right? So you can take the notes of whatever I am telling you right now. So content marketing evaluation, assessment of content marketing success is an important post-distribution step. It involves both the strategic as well as the tactical performance measurements. Strategically, marketers should evaluate whether the content marketing policy achieves the sales-related and the trademark-related goals. In step 1, since the goals are aligned with the overall business objectives, since the goals are what I said just now, since the goals are aligned with the overall business objectives, the evaluation is straightforward and can be combined with the brand's overall performance measurement. Follow? It can be evaluated in that manner. So tactically, marketers should evaluate the content marketing metrics, which really depend on the choice of formats and the media channels across the consumer path. There are 5 classes of metrics that measure whether the content is visible. You know, which are the five ways? Remember the 5 ways which we studied? Which are the 5 ways? Aware, appeal, ask, act, and advocate. So these are the 5 classes. See, here it is. I can connect you. Tactically, marketers should also evaluate the key contents, no? Key content marketing metrics, and which really depend on the choice of formats and media channels across the customer path. So there are 5 classes of metrics that measure whether the content is visible. Visible means aware, relatable, appeal, searchable, ask, actionable, act, and shareable, advocate. So most common metrics include impressions and how many times the content is viewed, unique viewers, how many people actually, went through the content, see the content, and the trademark recall, what percentage are able to recall the trademark name. So relatability, on the other hand, process how well the content attracts interest, like page views, bounce rate, and time on site. So search matrix typically measures how discoverable content is by using search engines. Follow? So action metrics are important metrics to track. They essentially measure whether the content successfully drives customer to purchase, that is, act. Ultimately, marketers need to pathway how well their content is being shared, which is a proxy for advocacy. Right? Are they acting? Are they purchasing? Are they advocating? This is what about is in content marketing evaluation. Followed? So it is very important that strategically marketers should evaluate whether the content marketing policy achieves the sales related and the trademark related goals, right? And typically marketers should also evaluate the key content marketing metrics, which really depend on the choice of the formats and the media channels across the customer path. That's what we studied about content marketing valuation. And now we will go to the last one. And the last one is content marketing improvement. The significant advantage of content marketing over traditional marketing is that it is highly accountable. We can track performance by content theme, content format, distribution channels, right? So performance tracking is very useful for analyzing and classifying the opportunities for improvement at very granular levels, at the very smallest levels. You can track the performance very easily. Since content marketing is very dynamic, periodic enhancement of content marketing is essential. So marketers should be smart enough to decide, here, when it is time to change the content marketing approach. Followed? It is very necessary since the content marketing is very dynamic. It is changing constantly. It is changing periodically. So marketers should be smart enough to decide when it is time to change the content marketing approach. However, it is important to note that content marketing often requires time to have its influence and therefore requires a certain degree of persistence as well as reliability in implementation. That is what is necessary in content marketing improvement. So we studied 8 steps. How many steps we studied? We studied 8 steps of step-by-step content marketing planning. What are the different steps which are included when you plan the content marketing? So these are the 8 steps which are included. And I have elaborated all the 8 steps and given to you. The next one we come to now is creating conversations with content, which is last. We are ending here with that. Okay, we are ending here with creating conversations with content. Now, when using content to create conversations is about presenting the right information. It's your job as a business owner to facilitate that growth using the appropriate tools and resources at your disposal. Follow? So always remember, writing is the foundation of all content formats. You have to be excellent creative writer. If you can invest your time into creating effective messaging architectures, all of your other content formats will fall into place. So you want to create an environment where you are constantly engaged and creating value for your target audience, right? So that is what is creating conversations with the content. You have to create an environment where you are constantly engaging and creating value for your target audience. So this is why having a system in place is very, very important. What I mentioned here, using content to create conversations about presenting the right information and creating an environment where you are constantly engaging and creating value for your target audience. This is very, very important. So knowing where your business stands in terms of objectives, knowing yourself where your business stands in terms of goals and aspirations will put you in a right position to create the right conversations with the right people. If your business provides a service that helps solve a problem, how likely is it that you can create content around solving that problem? Creating conversations using content is about behavior and how you present a given piece of information. Is what is there in creating conversations with content. And now we end here, chapter 4. I hope I have covered all the topics with you all. And all the topics have been covered. That is understanding humans using digital anthropology, building 6 attributes of human-centric brands, when brands become human, content marketing for brand curiosity, content is the new ad, hashtag is the new tagline, step-by-step content marketing, 8 steps, important steps, and creating conversations with content. With this, I end my session. Chapter 4 ends here. Thank you very much.